What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again, once again, for another episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast, episode 9, the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. A great week of football last week. Start off with the Bills and the Indianapolis Colts, and that was a great game, a great way to start off the whole playoffs. A couple upsets, the most prominent one being the Browns and Steelers. Excuse me, in my opinion, because of how much of a blowout it was and how bad the game started for Pittsburgh. But we can't forget the Rams also upsetting Seattle. Obviously, the Buccaneers beat Washington. The Rams beat Seattle, like I said. The Ravens beat the Titans. And what game? Oh, the Saints beat the Bears. So since there's only 4 games this week, I'm once again joined here again with Joey Christmas as Nick is taking another week off. We hope to do an episode with all 3 of us before the playoffs end, though. But since there's only 4 games this week, me and Joey are going to have some discussion topics to talk about with you guys, some NFL news, because we don't feel like talking about the 4 games will be entertaining. And we want to just talk about other football news, like I said, besides just the 4 games, because we want to cover more stuff. So, like I said, Joey, you're here this week on this episode. How have you been, my man? How you doing? Good?
I'm doing very good. Enjoying the last week of football, very entertaining, and a lot of stuff's been going on the last week in the football world. So, we got a lot of topics to talk about today.
It is. Let's get into our first one, which is the most basic topic. Let's just talk about last week's games, man. What was your favorite game to watch? I mean, personally, mine, maybe because I bet on it, I would say the Saints and the Bears. Thank you, Drew Brees, for winning me $95 for covering your spread in that game. But yeah, besides that, I think all of them are really good. Besides really the Browns and Steelers because it was a blowout. Yeah. But what was your favorite game last week to watch, man?
Like you said, the Saints and the Bears game was pretty entertaining. With the SpongeBob and everything like that. But I kind of enjoyed the Browns game because I just love seeing the Steelers get destroyed. I'm sorry if you're a Steelers fan, but I just kind of enjoyed it because they were talking all that smack, and it's just like I feel like justice was served.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It was quite the irony that the Steelers lost in the first round after going 11-0. They only won 1 game in their last 6 or whatever, 5, whatever that was. But a very good week of football. When we talk about the Washington Tampa Bay game, what a performance by Taylor Heinicke, the undrafted. I think he's a rookie quarterback for Washington. He is the 4th string quarterback, which is it blows my mind. Obviously behind Dwayne Haskins when he was on the team, Kyle Allen and Alex Smith. And he played one great game, man. He threw for over 300 yards. He threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. He had a pick, but I think low-key he might be the future of Washington because Alex Smith is getting old. Alex Smith is still a pretty solid quarterback. But looking long-term, obviously Alex Smith is not the answer for the Washington football team. What do you think, man? What do you think about Taylor Heinicke's performance last week? You think he played well, or how would you say?
I think he played amazing, especially for like his first game like in a while, and not only that, but in the playoffs. It's a big stage, and you're really nervous, and I feel like he played amazing for a situation, and Washington has a future quarterback on their hands, I think.
I agree, and not to mention he also played against arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. And he went toe for toe with Tom Brady. That is a big accomplishment.
Definitely.
I bet the Buccaneers to win. Unfortunately, the spread was 8.5 points, and the Buccaneers only won by 8. So they didn't cover the spread. So I'm a little bit annoyed at Tom Brady. But besides that fact, it was a great game. I honestly thought it would be a blowout, but Washington stayed in the whole time. And for one point, it looked like they almost were going to win. But Tom Brady did what Tom Brady does, and he held on, and that was definitely the most surprising game. I guess not result-wise, but like closeness-wise, because I'm pretty sure, like I said, all of us expected at least a 10-point Tampa Bay victory. And I didn't expect Taylor Heinicke to play as well as he did,
Yeah, and nobody really expected much from Washington, coming into the playoffs. So I see it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they put up one hell of a fight, and Washington fans have no reason to be mad. Your first season with a great coach, Riverboat Ron Rivera, he wins you the division with a losing record, and your defense looks bright and I guess bright. There's no other word, bright. You got a
Mm-hmm.
great pass rusher talent and Chase Young. In my opinion, he'll be the defensive rookie of the year. Kareem Curl, I believe his name is, a strong safety who they had Landon Collins, but he got hurt, and then he stepped up into that role, another rookie. And then, like me, Nick, and you as well, Joey, have talked about their front seven, their defensive line, their linebackers are just really good. Ryan Kerrigan, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, like their front four and their front seven is just very good. So their defense is very bright. I think if Taylor Heineke is the future, that saves them from drafting a quarterback this draft. Just an example would be like Kyle Trask, or because they got like the 19th pick or something, so a mid first round pick. If he is the future, he saves them that, so they can draft more offensive linemen. Or I'm not a Washington fan, so I don't really know what they need. Maybe another receiver to help Terry McLaurin out.
Yeah.
They got a good tight end on Logan Thomas. But my point being is, if he really is the future, that saves them drafting a quarterback like Mac Jones or Kyle Trask, or So maybe Washington rides with him for a year. Why not? What's there to lose? He played great in his first game, so let's see what he can do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up our discussion of our last week's games. I know we kind of mainly talked about the Washington game, but there was a lot of games, but I feel like this was the one to talk about the most. Most of the other games weren't as competitive. The Ravens game was a 20-13 victory in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson won his first playoff game. Derrick Henry got stifled. And then the Bears game was not really a competitive one. The Saints basically in control the whole time. And like we said, we talked about the Steelers, how they had their early blunders, but I just thought the Washington game was, in my opinion, in the Bills game, was the most competitive of the last week. So here, let's get into our next topic. Joey, this will be a little bit of a shorter topic, but what playoff team are you most disappointed in their first round exit? So what team, kind of self-explanatory, what team did you think was going to win last week, but they lost?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks. Why is that?
Well, they had everything, like for them in this game. The Rams, they didn't have their starting quarterback playing. I felt like the Seahawks, it was a perfect opportunity for them to come in and win. Especially, the Rams just lost to the Jets, so it's like you can't lose this game. It's hard. It's hard to see.
The Jets?
The Rams.
The Rams.
Did. Yeah,
I thought you said the Ravens. My bad, but yes, the Rams did. Yes. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it just shows you that like the Seahawks, possibly overrated. And I'm not really a fan of how Russell Wilson is playing the last couple of weeks. I have in fantasy, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of falling apart almost. It seems like.
Yeah, and if you remember early on, he was the front runner to win the MVP in like through the first 8 games of the season. He was the front runner. He was playing great, and he just kind of like, I don't want to say returned to mediocrity because he wasn't mediocre, but I guess he just returned to like non-MVP form, if that makes sense. He wasn't playing bad, but he was just playing like normal, if that makes sense.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is putting up better numbers, but
You think so? Is that actually facts?
Yeah. I played against this guy in fantasy, and he had Jalen Hurts, and he literally like scored like double my points 1 week.
I do remember that Jalen Hurts, when they played the Cardinals, he did drop like 40 points on fantasy. So I do remember that. So that actually is true. From a fantasy perspective, he was putting up better numbers than Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think that they are my team that I'm most disappointed in. Because besides them, your only other real option is the Steelers. Because the Colts, I didn't think they would beat the Bills. All the other teams, I didn't think were going to win. But maybe the Titans, but then again, I think Lamar was due for a victory against the Titans anyway, and just a playoff win in general. So I agree with you. I think the Seahawks are the most disappointing team. They were my sleeper pick to make the NFC title game. I thought if they played the Saints this week, I thought they would beat the Saints and play the Packers or the Buccaneers in the NFC title game. But I don't know what happened, man. Like the Rams did have their number all year. They beat them once before. And it seems like Russell Wilson just struggles against good defenses because they really didn't put up big numbers. DK Metcalf is struggling against Jalen Ramsey, and the whole Seahawks team is just struggling on offense. That's why they did fire their offensive coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the Seahawks need. It was definitely a tough loss for them. They definitely should have won that game. Like you said, they had all their cards in their favor, and they just didn't play them right. So there's that. A tough loss for Seattle, but hopefully they get better in the offseason with free agency and the NFL draft. So let's get into our next topic. This is a pretty big one. Deshaun Watson wanting a trade out of Houston. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, I think he should. I think he has every right to request a trade out of for Houston. But what do you think? Do you think he should stay in Houston, or do you think he should opt out of his contract and leave?
Yeah, I would respect him if he left. A lot more. Just kind of like a statement, because like there's so many teams that could use a quarterback right now, and he could be doing so better if he was just playing with a better team. And I hope he does leave. I hope he does what's best for him, and
This all started with Houston, Deshaun Watson as the team's unprecedented, offensive leader, arguably their leader of the team besides J.J. Watt. He wanted them to hire Eric Bieniemy, who is the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who is a top head coaching candidate this year in the offseason. He wanted them to hire him, but basically they hired a new GM. I forgot his name, Nick somebody. He was in the Patriots organization. They hired him as the GM, and they basically said that the new GM, will have a say on their new head coach and not Deshaun Watson. So obviously that made him mad because Deshaun Watson's been there for 4 or 5 years. He has been the face of their franchise, in my opinion, since he got drafted, because he completely turned this franchise around. And he had a great year even without his star receiver being traded. So he's mad that this new GM in town is having a decision over him, which, I mean, yes, it's not really bad, but I would be irritated too. That's kind of like saying if Aaron Rodgers, if they fired Matt LaFleur, which I'm sure they won't, but just an example, if they fired him and Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have a say in the new head coach, that's just kind of BS, because it's Aaron Rodgers. And Deshaun Watson is an elite level of talent. Not saying he's as good as Aaron Rodgers, but he's also they're both very good quarterbacks. So I understand where Deshaun's coming from, but where do you think he can get traded to? I have my personal opinion where he wants to go, but where do you think he'll get traded to if he does get traded?
Yeah, so I heard some rumors of saying that he wanted to go to AFC East team, and there's two teams where I see him possibly landing in there, and the first one is the Dolphins. They have a young quarterback, rookie Tua, but and Ryan Fitzpatrick, but and I kind of see him landing there as my second choice, or where he would go most likely. But I feel like his most likely destination is the Patriots, just because Cam Newton is most likely not going to return, and the Patriots would probably love to see him on their team. So those are my two guesses.
I agree with you with one, but not the other. I think he'll be going to Miami, because these are all just rumors. What I'm about to say. There is rumors in the Dolphins organization that multiple players do not like Tua. They have said that they don't know why Fitzpatrick got benched, that they liked Fitzpatrick more as a leader, and they thought that Fitzpatrick put them in a better position to win football games. This is all just rumors. This could all be bogus, but this is just reported rumor. So take this with a grain of salt, but it could be true. So if that is true, I can see why they want Tua to leave, because the Dolphins' defense is very good. We've talked about that before. But Tua looked very this year. Compared to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, he definitely looked like the worst rookie quarterback of those three. There's no question, no debate. That's just facts. Justin Herbert is potentially the offensive rookie of the year, and Joe Burrow was, the leading candidate for that award as well before he got injured. And Tua's just kind of there. So I can definitely see the Houston trading Deshaun Watson for Tua and get their third overall pick back. I think that's a fair trade because they get a good young rookie quarterback and their pick back. So, they can build around them. And it just works for both parties. And Deshaun Watson goes to South Beach, goes to Miami, who are building a great culture, a great team. So it works for both ways. My final point is going with the Patriots. I don't really see what assets they could give Houston, because they have to trade for him. They could give him a couple first-round picks, but the Patriots are picking kind of mid this year. I think they got the 15th pick in the draft. So I mean, if I was Houston, obviously I would rather take the third pick over the 15th pick. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they gave them maybe like Stephon Gilmore, maybe, but that's pushing it. I would not trade Gilmore for Deshaun Watson, but that's just my opinion. But who knows? Bill Belichick is a mastermind. We all know that. He's like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, so we may see a crazy trade like that. Who knows? But there's that. So we got two more topics to talk about. This one just happened today. Urban Meyer, former Florida Gators head coach and Ohio State Buckeyes head coach, gets hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. What are your thoughts on this, Joey? He has never coached in the NFL. He started off with Bowling Green, which is a small school, then coached Utah with Alex Smith, led them to an undefeated season, and they won the Fiesta Bowl. Then he moved to Florida, won a national title with them, and then he moved to Ohio State and won a national title with them before he retired. So what are your thoughts on Urban Meyer, who is a very decorated college football coach, moving to be the head coach and possibly the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars? What are your thoughts on that?
So Jacksonville Jaguars, they're coming off a 1-win season. They're definitely needing some changes in their coaching. And if they want to change, if they want to hire him, like they did, who knows? It's probably a good move, just to see how it is. They really can't really get any worse than that. So, they really need just anybody. You know what I mean?
I agree. It is a big change from the college football game to the pro level. As you guys know, the college game is very focused on the option. Not very focused, but they definitely run more options: triple option, read option, shovel option, whatever. You get my drift. So it's quite a jump from college to NFL. Not just players, but like I said, coaching as well. And fun fact, I don't know if you knew this, Joey, or the people listening, Nick Saban, obviously we all know him, the Alabama football coach, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, used to coach in the NFL. Did you know that?
I literally just found that out yesterday. Like I was on the phone with somebody and they told me that. I forgot what team they said, but I remember him saying that he came in the NFL and like he didn't coach that well.
Yeah, he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And just so you guys know, Nick Saban used to be the coach at LSU. He had success, not as good as he was at Alabama, but he was still a pretty good coach. He won the Sugar Bowl twice and won the Peach Bowl once, and their best record ever was 13-1. So he was a pretty solid coach. They also won the national championship. My bad. So he won the national championship with LSU in 2003. That was the Sugar Bowl. That's when they beat Oklahoma. So my point being is after LSU, he went to the Miami Dolphins. He was the head coach of them for 2 years. And they finished 9-7, then 6-10. So, and then they fired him. So after 2 years, he won 15-17, which is average, but not what you expect from a coach like him. And then obviously we know Nick Saban. He's been building a great culture in Alabama. I mean, he's won more national championships in like the last 12 years than any other program. But the reason why I bring that up is because we all know how good of a college coach he is, but he's not a good pro coach. That's why people are like, why is Nick Saban not getting hired in the NFL? Why is Nick Saban? Because that's why, It's just a completely different game, and that's why it might be a challenge. But maybe Urban Meyer is what the Jacksonville Jaguars need, man. They got the first overall pick, most likely taking Trevor Lawrence, and they have possibly a good young offense if they do draft Trevor Lawrence with DJ Chark, Robinson, and Laviska Shenault. So I think the future is bright in Jacksonville. Do you have anything to add on to Jacksonville hiring Urban Meyer?
I got really nothing else. We just got to see how it plays out.
That's right. We just have to see how it plays out, and hopefully they build a good culture in Jacksonville. All right, so our last topic of discussion is Doug Peterson. This really shocked me. Getting fired by the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Eagles still have problems because they still have Howie Roseman as the general manager of the Philadelphia. Right? Is he the GM? Yeah, he is the GM. Okay. So Joey, I know you know more about the Eagles than me because I hate the Eagles. What are your thoughts on Doug Peterson getting fired? I was kind of confused at first because he won him a Super Bowl. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so if you watch some of the Eagles games during the season, you'll see a lot of mistakes that Doug Peterson makes. He goes for on a fourth down when he shouldn't. he does a lot of bad play calling that, I feel like if he, played, if it was any other coach, they probably would have won at least 5 or even 6 or 7 games, because there's a lot of games that they throw away that they came close in the final quarter and they just threw away because of mistakes made in the first, second, and third quarters. So, I was kind of surprised by that. I still think he is a good coach. I still think he has potential to, lead a team to playoff, but I see why after the season why they got rid of him, but I don't really see him as like Adam Gase level. You know what I mean? I still think he's a good quarterback, good coach. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good. I agree with you. This was his worst season in Philadelphia. Before this season, he led them to 3 straight playoff berths. Obviously, the first one led to the Super Bowl championship, led by Nick Foles, and then the year after that, they lost in the second round to the Saints. And then last year, they lost to the Seahawks in the wild card round when Carson Wentz got hurt and that whole fiasco. But the Eagles are in a very tough spot as an organization. Obviously, they don't know what to do with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Maybe Doug Peterson was the reason. Maybe Carson Wentz advocated for Doug Peterson's firing. Who knows? There's a lot of mixed bags going around in the media. Carson Wentz was taking how he was very annoyed at Doug Peterson about benching him. Other sources said that there was no hate. So it's a very up in the air topic. But one thing is for a fact is that Doug Peterson lost the locker room when he threw the game. I know one player, Miles Sanders, their running back, he was very upset. He was very pissed off that they threw the game. And he basically said that, like I said, that the players lost respect for him, especially Jason Kelce, their center, who was a good team leader for the Eagles, and Zach Ertz, which is most likely his final game in Philadelphia. And they threw the game, which is just awful, in my opinion. But maybe that's the reason. Do you think him throwing that last game against Washington may have a reason for him getting fired because the players kind of turned on him, or no?
Yeah, I think that had a significant factor in him getting fired. You could see even Jalen Hurts, if you read his lips, like when the camera was on him, he said, I don't know if you saw this clip, but he said that's not right when they put him in the game, because he was he threw a pick or he wasn't playing that well, but he was playing great. And I felt like if they kept him in and, made the right play calling, they would have won that game. But instead they threw away the game by putting in Nate Sudfeld, and, it was just completely chaos. And it was hard to watch for, Giants fans, especially like, I know you're a Giants fan. Eagles fans were I know some Eagles fans that, were kind of happy they lost because they got the 6th pick in a draft. But, I don't think it's right to tank. I feel like you got to play to win. You know what I mean?
Of course. I agree with you. I'm trying not to be biased here because, like I said, I'm a Giants fan, as you guys know. And I'm very mad that they purposely lost and got us out of the playoffs. But I'm more mad for the fact that it ruined the integrity of the game a little bit. And obviously, like I said, I'm mad that the Giants didn't make the playoffs. But if you think of it from like a standpoint of another football fan, if first of all, this game got flexed to prime time. It wasn't supposed to be on Sunday night, but the NFL moved it to Sunday night, 1. And 2, not only did he bench Jalen Hurts, he benched 10 of his 11 starters. 10 of his 11. Like, it wasn't just Nate Sudfeld he put in. He put in, like, basically all of his backups in the fourth quarter when they were down by 3 points. And like you said, it wasn't like Hurts was playing okay. He threw for, like, a pick or 2, but he still had 2 rushing touchdowns. And like I said, the score was 17-14 going into the last quarter. So the Eagles definitely could have won that game. And Hurts was still in the game.
Yeah, and before the game, I remember Cox sat out the last 3 quarters, and Barrett they didn't play him either though the game. They sat Miles Sanders. They didn't play their like star players, like their best players. So that definitely had an effect.
Fletcher Cox sat. Derek Barnett sat. Dallas Goedert sat. Like you're saying, they sat most of their stars for this game, and then I guess this is just a consequence because, like I said, he lost the locker room. And then the final point I have in with this whole thing is Doug Peterson is. I saw this on Bleacher Report. This is just rumors. Looks like he is the leading candidate for the coach of the New York Jets, which I guess that could be good. Anything's better than Adam Gase, in my opinion. So maybe we'll see Doug Peterson be the head coach of the New York Jets. And before we get into our games, my last topic of discussion It just revolves around Howie Roseman. This will be a quick one, because I know you know more about the Eagles than I do. We all know that Howie Roseman is a bad GM. He took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. And he took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. So my last question for you, Joey, before we get into the games, is how do you feel about Howie Roseman as the GM of the Eagles? Do you think he's a good GM, or do you think they should have fired him as well with Doug Peterson?
So I'm not really an Eagles fan. I do know more about the Eagles, but I don't necessarily know how they feel like personally about him, but I do know that a lot of them want him fired, and they want him fired for really good reasons, and the main one is drafting Jalen Hurts. Obviously he's a great quarterback, and I feel like it will pay off in the long run sometime, but that's really not who you pick. You don't pick a quarterback when you already have one. You don't pick a quarterback when you need receivers, when you need weapons. So he's done a lot of made a lot of mistakes, and I see why they would have fired him first.
I agree. I don't really want to give too much info on this because I don't know much about the topic. I just know that he drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf and Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Yeah. That's all I need to know that he's a bad GM. But there's that. And that ends our discussion topics. So let's get into the divisional playoffs. Let's get into these games. If you guys like the discussion, let me know in the comments below. If you guys don't like them, then we'll just go right into the games. We just thought that talking about the 4 football games may make the podcast a little bit too short. So we wanted to add a little bit more of a discussion, like I said, aspect into this podcast other than the games. So our first game on Wild Card Weekend on Saturday is the LA Rams, the 6 seed at 10-6, versus the 1 seeded Green Bay Packers, who finished the season 13-3. This is going to be a very interesting game. I think this game is a lot better than their records show, more so the Rams, because we got the number 1 defense in the Rams against the number 1 offense in the Packers. Devontae Adams versus Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald versus the Packers' whole entire offensive line. He'll be playing. He's ready. This is going to be a fun game to watch, man. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you think it's going to be a good game? Do you think the Packers are going to run away with it? What do you think?
Like you just said, number 1 defense versus number 1 offense. I think this will be a really great game to watch, to be honest with you. Obviously we don't really know now. It's just we're just kind of guessing, but I feel like it's going to be a great game to watch. I think it will be close. I think it will be a really close game, and you're going to see a defense play good and offense at the same time play good. So, it's going to be interesting to watch.
I agree. This is going to be I don't think all of these games this week, in my opinion, are going to be good. This one, just like I said, is the most interesting because I think the Packers are going to win, but I wouldn't be too surprised if the Rams pulled the upset card.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think the whole entire season lies in the hands of Jared Goff, because we already talked about the Packers offense versus the Rams defense. That's a real battle to watch. But what about the Rams offense versus the Packers defense? Because we all know how terrible the Packers are at stopping the run. And the LA Rams, especially with Jared Goff breaking his thumb, they're going to be focused on more of a run-heavy game, led by the rookie from, I believe, Florida State, Cam Akers, who he really broke out in the Patriots game a couple weeks ago. But he's been playing great, man. And I think he's going to be the X factor, whether the Rams upset the Packers or they lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be Jared Goff. It's not going to be John Wolford if he plays. I don't think he will, but I don't really know the extent of his injury. Kind of a cheap hit on Jamal Adams' part, but whatever. It is what it is. Whoever plays for the Rams, their other backup quarterback, if it's not Jared Goff, who knows? But this is going to be a good game to watch. But what are your thoughts on the Rams offense versus the Packers defense? Do you think that's going to be the main X factor, or do you think it's going to be something else?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be, the Rams defense versus their offense. So I think, that's what mainly we're going to be watching in this game. But I know Jalen Akers. I think he ran for over 130 yards last week, and he scored a touchdown.
Cam Akers?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, and he just. He completely shredded the Seahawks defense. And, I really think that if the Packers can, if they can't stop him, it's going to be a lot closer of a game, and you might see an upset.
Yeah, Cam Akers rushed for 131 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, he had a really good game last week. And like I said, the Packers have been trouble stopping the run all year, but this will be my opinion, the biggest chance for an upset. I don't think the Packers will lose, but I wouldn't be too shocked if they did, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This leads right into my pick. I think the Packers are going to win 27-17. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, I got the Packers winning 21-17. It's going to be a great game to watch. This is going to be a great game to watch. Green Bay's offense versus, the Rams defense. And, I like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win and pull away upset, but it's going to be a close game.
And like last week and then weeks prior, when Nick's not here, he still gave me his picks. And Nick also believes the Packers will win 24-10. So, Joey, lead us into our next game, the Saturday primetime game between the two AFC teams.
Yeah, so we got the number 5 seed Buffalo Bills number 5 seed Ravens versus number 2 seed Bills. The Bills coming off a win against Indianapolis last week, and the Ravens coming off a win versus the Tennessee Titans last week. Completely shut down, Henry, and it was an impressive victory for them. I'm happy for Lamar Jackson getting his first playoff win, as a Raven. So I'm glad to see that because I really like Lamar Jackson. He's a really good quarterback in my opinion. But I feel, and the Ravens received some help last week from the Browns by winning. So now Cleveland will take on Kansas City. Now that they don't have to play Baltimore, so Baltimore has somewhat of an easier opponent this week. And I just feel like it's going to be another great game to watch. And what are your thoughts on this, Will?
Yeah, this is the two hottest AFC teams. The Bills have won 7 straight or 6 straight, and the Ravens have won 5 straight. So this is going to be a great game. Like I said beforehand, all of the games this week are going to be fun to watch. Not only because it's the divisional round, so obviously we got the final 8 teams. These teams are playing to win, but they're just obviously like better teams. But the Bills have won 7 straight, and the Ravens have won 6 straight. So yeah, like I said, these are two of the hottest teams, not only in the AFC but the whole NFL. I think the Bills played somewhat poor last week. They still won, but the Bills could definitely play better. And in my opinion, that scares me because the Bills played poor and they still pulled off a win.
Yeah.
And they should have won by more, in my opinion, but the Colts defense really kept them in the game. But yeah, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's playing really well. The Bills had trouble stopping the run against Jonathan Taylor last week. Almost costed them the win last week.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So I have another, actually. I know you're talking about scary stuff for the Bills, like that scary win last week, but this is another really scary fact about Josh Allen. Last year he had one of the worst games against Baltimore, where he only completed 46% of his passes and only averaged 33.7 yards per attempt in a 24-17 loss. So you got a lot to worry about if you're a Bills fan. This is not just an easy walk in the park here. And, I'm all about redemption. So I hope Josh Allen can, bounce back from that and put up some good numbers. But, if you're a Bills fan, you got to be a little nervous.
I agree. Let me just say that, in my opinion, I didn't really see Michael Vick play, but I almost said Michael Jackson. Lamar Jackson. I combined Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, and I made Michael Jackson like the singer. Lamar Jackson is, in my opinion, the most electrifying quarterback I've ever seen. Granted, I didn't really see Michael Vick play. I was too young. I saw him with the Eagles, but I never really seen him with Atlanta. But I have never seen the athleticism, the electrifying playmaking ability of Lamar Jackson. And like me and my coworkers were talking about, when Lamar Jackson plays, all eyes focus on Lamar Jackson. Everyone on the field is watching Lamar Jackson. And that's just facts because he's a running back playing quarterback, but I know people say that he can't throw the ball, but Lamar Jackson he's a good deep ball. Not as good as like Josh Allen and Mahomes, but he can still throw the ball deep. It's not like Lamar Jackson can't throw it all, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Lamar Jackson is the X factor in this game. He's basically, in my opinion, the whole Ravens offense. J.K. Dobbins is pretty solid, but Lamar Jackson is the heart and soul of this Ravens offense. Mark Andrews is solid. Des Bryant is okay, but they need help at receiver. But I agree with you, man. But to your rebuttal of what you said about the Ravens beating them last year, this is a completely different Ravens team. And I don't know why the Ravens are different. Maybe because Lamar kind of decreased his play, but this is not the same Ravens team that went 14-2, and this is definitely a much better Josh Allen and a much better Bills offense than last year. So because of that and the Bills being more refined, like Josh Allen improving and obviously them getting Stephon Diggs, I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game 31-27 and advance to the AFC title game. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, so last week the Bills played against Phillip Rivers, which is he's mostly a pocket quarterback, and this week they're playing Lamar Jackson, a guy that scrambles the ball more, gets out of the pocket more, creates a little more plays, on the ground, and so I feel like the Bills are going to have a tough time stopping that, but I still got them winning 28-27 this week. It's going to be a close game, going to be a great game to watch in my opinion, and I can't wait to see it.
And Nick also believes the Bills will win 28-24. And it, like you said, Joey, it should be a good game to watch on Saturday night primetime. So those are the two Saturday games. The Packers game, I believe, starts at 1, and the Ravens game starts at like 6 o'clock. Don't quote me on that. Those are Eastern Standard Time, so check your local TV listings or just do a Google search to see when these games are going to be on, but somewhere around 1 and 6 for both of them. Let's get into the Sunday games. The first Sunday game is the 6-seeded Cleveland Browns, who finished the season 11-5, versus the 1-seeded Kansas City Chiefs, who finished 14-2. This game is going to start, I think, about like 3:45 EST. But anyway, I'm not shocked that the Browns won it, but I am shocked they won in such a dominant way. Big Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, lost the Steelers the game. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't convince me otherwise. You can't tell me for the quarterback who throws 5 picks, but also threw for 500 yards, potentially put them in the game. I'm sorry. You just sound like an idiot. He turned the ball over 5 times, or maybe 4 times, but he threw a lot of interceptions, and then they had that botched snap at the start of the game. It was not a good day to be a fan. And the Browns, I can't believe not only did they won, like I said, by so much, but they're in the AFC Divisional round, man. Their first playoff win since 1993. The Bills, we didn't even talk about this. They won their first playoff game since like 1993 or whatever. And this is the first time in history that the Bills and the Browns have both won a playoff series, like game, in the same playoffs. So This is crazy. What are your thoughts on this game, man? The Cleveland Browns, led by their high-powered rushing attack of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, versus Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Like they don't need any introduction. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, obviously Mahomes. Not you, Mahomes, Joey. Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not going to be playing it Sunday, just to clarify to everybody.
What are your thoughts on this game, man?
Yeah, so this is a new era. The Browns are good again. I can't believe I'm saying that. But they definitely played an electrifying game last week, and I feel like they have a ton of confidence coming into this game. Especially Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, able to run the ball. Baker Mayfield, he's doing his job. He's not making many mistakes, and I appreciate that. And I'm a real big believer in Nick Chubb. I believe he's a great running back, and they're going to lead them to some victories. But I still feel like the Chiefs are the better team here. They got a lot more weapons on their team. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and their players are well rested. They're well trained for this game, and both teams will be motivated to win. But I just see the Chiefs overcoming them. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game. You know what I mean?
I would like to point out that last time these two played in college, Oklahoma versus Texas Tech, that was a shootout. If you guys have not watched highlights of that game, or if you don't even know what happened, I remember watching it not vividly, but vaguely. And man, that was one crazy game. That was before Mahomes was like mainstream. That was like when Baker Mayfield, I think he won the Heisman that year. but the final score was 66-59. And Patrick Mahomes, he played like an animal, man. He threw for 734 yards. 734 yards. He added 85 rushing yards to that. So just do the math for me on that one. 734 plus 85. That's how many total yards he had. And then he also had 2 rushing touchdowns. So he had 7 total touchdowns and had 819 total yards of offense. And Baker Mayfield had 545 yards and 7 touchdowns. And all in all, this whole game is crazy. Joe Mixon had 263 rushing yards for Oklahoma and 2 touchdowns. D.D. Westbrook for Oklahoma had 9 catches for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, if you guys had not seen this game or highlights, please watch it. Just look up the 2016 Oklahoma-Texas Tech game. A phenomenal offensive shootout. But to wrap it all up, I think the Browns need the X factor is the Browns defense and the Chiefs defense. I think the Chiefs defense is just a little bit better than the Browns defense, and their Chiefs offense is a lot better than the Browns offense. So the Browns have Myles Garrett, but that's really it on defense. And Denzel Ward. But the Chiefs have Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu, which are those two are just 2 great players, and I think those 2 will lead the Chiefs defense, if that makes sense. I think the Chiefs defense is just better. That's going to be the X factor. My pick is the Chiefs 31-20. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, my pick is the Chiefs again, 35-17. Like you just said, I feel like that, the Chiefs are going to be able to stop the Browns and stop Baker Mayfield. And, they're going to put up some big numbers and, prove that they're the superior team in this game.
Yeah, and Nick's pick is also the Chiefs 24-14. All right, Joey, lead us into our last game of the week, the Sunday night primetime game.
Okay, so we got the 5th seed Buccaneers versus the 2nd seed Saints. Both teams played twice against each other this season, and both times the Saints have won. Both times Tom Brady didn't really look that good playing. So, many people say that the Saints are going to win for the 3rd time. And, and that's a fair point to make. The Saints proved that they can beat the Buccaneers and they can beat them by, a big margin. They crushed them against 35 points in week 9. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints would win. But, this is playoff Tom Brady we're talking about here. This isn't like, I don't know, Cam Newton. But, but all that means is that, I feel like that this is Tom Brady's time to show that, what, I can come back and I can beat this team. I'm not gonna lose 3 straight this team in a season in a year. This is not gonna happen, and I feel like he's gonna be able to step up. But it's gonna be very interesting to see.
Let me just say that I have a weird respect for Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. I did not like Tom Brady in New England. I'm sure most of us didn't, besides Patriots fans. But it's just weird. Honestly, if the Buccaneers somehow won the Super Bowl, I would not be mad, which is weird. But it's just different seeing him succeed on another team. It's hard to explain, but I just think, like I said, if they win the Super Bowl somehow, I wouldn't be mad. And if they win this game, I'm not going to be like, oh, damn it, Brady won again. I can't stand him. He always wins. Because he's on the Buccaneers, and they're just a poor franchise historically. They've only won 1 Super Bowl. And literally, Tom Brady himself has more playoff wins than this whole franchise. So they're a sad franchise. So if they won with Tom Brady, I wouldn't be too mad to keep it real. But this is going to be a very historic game. Most likely Drew Brees' final game if the Saints lose. Most likely, again, Drew Brees is probably going to retire. The last time these 2 legendary quarterbacks play each other. This is going to be a good one, man. This is my opinion going to be the best game to watch this week. All of them are going to be good, though. But like I said, mainly for the fact this will be the last time we see these 2 play, which is kind of sad in my opinion because I grew up watching these 2 quarterbacks. Watching them on the Patriots for Brady, obviously, and Drew Brees with the Saints before he was with the San Diego Chargers. I saw Brees won his only Super Bowl. Hopefully he gets another one. But my point being is that it's going to be sad seeing one of my, I don't want to say my icons, but like a quarterback I grew up watching retire. So it's going to be a good one. I think the Saints are going to edge them out because the Saints have had their number all year. And Drew Brees is the X factor. And I just think the Saints' offense is just better than the Bucs. I would say that the Bucs offense, they have better receivers, but overall the Saints are just a better offense, if that makes more sense. Because of Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook. Like, I just think the Saints' offense is just more well-rounded. Do you have anything to add on to this game, Joey?
I don't really have much to say. I think you covered most of it, but it's going to be interesting to see how, Jameis Winston feels on the sideline this game.
Oh, yeah. I forgot he used to play for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So for Brady versus Brees, number 3, I got the Saints winning again, 24-20. Definitely going to be the highlight of this weekend, though. What about you, Joey?
I actually have the Buccaneers winning 24-21. I would not be surprised at one bit if the Saints win this game. They beat them last 2 times, like we talked about. But I just feel like they can't lose to the same team 3 times in a row, and I feel like this is playoff Tom Brady, and I feel like that they're going to be on top. You know what I mean?
I could see it. And then lastly, Nick's pick is he also believes the Buccaneers win 21-20 in another close game. All right, Joey. So let's wrap up this episode. Let's get into our games of the week to watch. I implied who I think is my games going to be to watch: the Buccaneers versus the Saints. We didn't touch on this. This is the first time these two are meeting in the playoffs. I wish we got to see that in Super Bowl, man. The Patriots and the Saints, that would have been a great one.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, most likely the last time these two Hall of Fame quarterbacks play each other, which is very sad. So don't forget to tune in on 8:30 on Sunday night. What's your game of the week to watch, Joey?
Yeah, so all these games are great to watch. Obviously in the playoffs, they're gonna be very, very entertaining. But I have the same game, Buccaneers versus Saints. These are 2 legendary Hall of Famer quarterbacks that possibly gonna retire very, very soon. Possibly their last games of the season. Tom Brady, I know he wants to, or last game ever. I know Tom Brady said he might be playing more. He might want to play football again. But I know Drew Brees, his numbers are coming to an end. And he's probably going to retire after this game. So, this is probably the last time you're going to see these 2 quarterbacks play together, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. It's going to be a very emotional game for both fans of the table, and it's going to be very interesting to see the outcome.
Yeah, and before we get into our picks record, Tom Brady did sign a 2-year contract with Tampa Bay. So I think next year will be Tom Brady's last season. But he already said that he wasn't going to opt out of it because he could opt out of his contract. He already said that he wasn't, and he's going to stay with Tampa Bay for 1 more year, at least finish out the current contract cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like I said before we wrap it all up, I think Tom Brady will retire after next season. Because he played a great first season in Tampa Bay, potentially a Pro Bowl snub, but going into next year he'll be He'll be 44 years old. So, and then if he were to return, he would start the season after next. So I guess his season as a free agent at 45 years old, and he's just getting old, man. If Tom Brady was 10 years younger, I'd say he could keep on going, but I don't know. I just don't think he has much more gas in the tank. But who knows? He's defied us all of his career. So lastly, we got the picks record between Nick and I. I'm currently got a big lead on Nick by 5. Nick's pick record is 69-44. Mine is 74-39. So I'm kind of running away with it, but, maybe Nick can somehow pull off the victory in that aspect. All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in the week. The divisional round was episode 10. Or 9? 9. Episode 9 of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Tune in next week for episode 10. Hopefully we get the Nick, Joey, and I to have our first free special of Gridiron Talk. And sooner rather than later, I think it'll be either next week or the week after, we're going to have our special award prediction show where we give our predictions for what awards we think are going to win, like the MVP and all that good jazz. So leave your predictions who you think are going to win the awards, like MVP, Coach of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, all that stuff, Team of the Year. So leave all that prediction stuff down below. Joey, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, this is very entertaining games, and I hope you guys enjoyed Will's video today. And make sure you watch some football this weekend. Don't put on basketball. Okay, watch football. Okay, this is football weekend.
Yep. And also thank Joey again for doing the thumbnail. If you didn't see it, switch it up a little bit, doing with the gold background and not the players but the team. So thank you, Joey, once again for doing the thumbnail. It looks great. If you guys like the video, like the podcast, don't forget to check out the other Gridiron Talk playlist in the description below. And once again, if you guys like the video, don't forget to like it, comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much, and have a great weekend. And don't forget to watch some football.